Welcome in, everybody, to another live session from 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with James Haskell, the Rascal, and, of course, DK in the background, keeping us straight. Happy to be here again. I mean, there's still some little bit of Ravens news trickling out from the offseason program. Not a ton because most of these sessions are closed. But let's start off, Jimmy, as we always do, talking a little bit of NFL news. And I want to start with your favorite subject that you just mentioned before coming on is the shape of Big Ben entering training camp. Again, does not look like he's going to beat anyone for Workout Warrior. He's looking a little thick in the stomach in the midsection, but this isn't something we haven't seen before from Big Ben.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not surprised that he is looking like he looks like an offensive lineman that's like 6 months in retirement. You know, they get smaller, but he's not quite like ripped yet. He's just getting smaller.
Yeah.
So he's at that stage, right?
He's like Joe Thomas 3 months after retirement.
Yeah, maybe a month after
that's true. Joe Thomas,
because Joe went all in on retirement life, right? But no, certainly. And the other thing I'll say too is, of course, they have all these 1 minute clips of these teams, and we'll get into instant reaction of the Ravens and those clips and things like that. But I saw him throwing the football, and dude looked like he was in pain throwing the football too. Like, I mean, I don't know. And everyone is already defending him. Cam Hayward today is on video defending Ben, doing this, that, and the other. Oh, it's got me rolling, man. It's got me cracking up. And speaking of the Steelers, too, and I got this from Pat McAfee. I thought it was hilarious. Najee Harris was trying to do the terrible towel whirl at the Penguins game, at the hockey game.
Yeah.
And they said he looked like he was using a pom-pom. He was terrible at it. They were ragging him pretty hard, so he's going to have to work on that.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty important in Pittsburgh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, what's your take on Golf Cart Ben? I mean, is it any surprises? I'm not surprised, right?
No, not at all. This is what Ben does. He kind of, I think, uses the camp to get himself into playing shape. And let's be honest, he's never been a guy that's, I'm sure, going to lift his shirt up and see a six-pack under there like Zeke Elliott when he used to wear his half shirts when he'd play. So I don't think he's reliant on necessarily being in the best physical condition. But I think when you look at this guy, I mean, it's hard to imagine him making it through a full now 17-game football season when we think that every game is going to count. It's such a competitive league this year, especially the North, that it's not like you're going to have any weeks off. This is going to be you're going to need to put up at least, I think, double-digit wins to even be coming close to the playoff situation. So if he's forced to miss any games, man, they're going to be in trouble because I don't know if they've, like you mentioned, still I don't know if they've drugged Haskins out of the strip club, and I don't think anyone wants to see Duck Hodges under center anymore. Or Mason Rudolph. So
well, and speaking of AFC North quarterbacks, it's funny because the one that seems to be in the news the least right now, of course, is my favorite, and that's Baker Mayfield. But Joe Burrow, of course, talked today as well. He said he's 85%. He's cleared for all movements. The last thing he's waiting to be cleared on is football activity. So it'd be like getting hit, things like that. So he's moving on. He's moving along well. I'm not surprised that he seems to be attacking this really well. I mean, what do you think? What do you think we'll see in old Joey B next year? I think it's going to take a whole year for him to get back to where he was coming into his rookie year, based on history and other guys having similar injuries. But I mean, what do you think Joey's going to be this year?
I think he gets right back at it. I mean, he's a young guy. You know how those young guys heal up. I mean, he's a young man.
Older than Lamar, but yeah.
All right, but still a young man nonetheless. I think he heals up just fine. I think he's chomping at the bit to get back on the field with his former teammate at LSU, Jamar Chase, and he's going to get the opportunity to whip the ball around. I think that he's going to be just fine by the time it comes. Now, there might be some situations where he doesn't take off right away like he used to because there could be some trust issues there with the knee. But I think that he gets back to norm. But I don't think it really matters much as far as the competitiveness and how the AFC North ultimately shapes out. I think they're the clear-cut number 4 team in the division, and it's going to be a tough road for them to get any wins inside the division. I think if they get lucky, I think they'll sneak out 1 or 2 inside the division, but I would not be shocked at all to see them swept by all 3 of the other teams Wouldn't stun me whatsoever. But nonetheless, I think he's going to end up being a really good quarterback, and they're going to, I think they continue to build around him, but not this year. It's not time yet.
Yeah. Oh man, that's definitely going to be interesting to see. I think that they split with the Steelers. But like you said, I wouldn't be surprised to see they split with us or they split with the Cleveland. If you think about it objectively, right? So, but I think it's going to take a while. Yeah. Now, one thing that I've noticed two things I've noticed that's in our comments today, and maybe we'll just get right to it. First of all,
shout out to Ing Raven.
That's what I was going to say. Shout out to Ing Raven.
Appreciate you.
It's it's nice to have a celebrity in the comments. We appreciate it, certainly. So thanks for attending. But I want to talk about there were so many 1-minute videos, and I referenced, of course, Ben's painful sidearm throw today where he looked like he had the beer gut and the beer double chin rocking in full effect. But Lamar, who we know from a very close source in Hollywood's personal trainer, that Lamar is not known for being the workout warrior. Now he'll get out on the field, right? Like he'll run and like play football.
Well, he'll hit the gym, but he ain't unlocking the gym.
Right, exactly. Right.
He ain't turning the lights off and going home last at the gym.
And he'd prefer to be out doing football activities than just moving metal around, right?
Yep.
But he came out there and gave the folks a little bit what they came for. Lamar Jackson's look. I from year 1 to 2, you could tell he'd been in the weight room because he had the workout neck. Lamar's neck size went up a few inches for sure. He was unbuttoning that top button, certainly on them collared shirts. And this year, it looks like he's been working on the biceps and the traps. Lamar Jackson has traps from God. I mean, I swear, when you run long distance, you're supposed to keep your shoulders down. I think it's impossible for this guy to keep his shoulders down. I mean, his traps are touching his earlobes. It's ridiculous. But now some people, and what I wanted to get to in the comments is that some people say he's looking a little pudgy. He's looking a little thick in the midsection.
Uh-oh.
But this is the one thing I will say is that it's to me, look, I'm not an experienced weightlifter or anything like that, but when you're purposefully trying to put on muscle, you eat in excess. And so sometimes you can get a little doughy, but also as soon as it's just a caloric intake thing. So as soon as you go down, 300-400 calories, as long as you're controlling that, it's going to come off like that, right? So do you have any concerns around Lamar being a little thick, not as fast? What's your take?
No concern here at all. I think that once that Owens Mills humidity that he's about to be faced with going into training camp, I think he's going to be sweating off plenty of those calories. And also, I mean, I trust that the staff here, is going to put together a good meal plan, as they do for every player on this team. And, he's a smart guy. I think you're right. I think he was probably, calorie loading up because he was trying to build a little muscle in his frame. And a guy his age that runs like the way he does, he's going to be able to take those pounds off. So I have no worries there. And really,
and I also wonder if they're even necessary to take off. If it's not affecting his speed and it's gonna improve his durability.
I think they just fall off of him though. I don't think he.
Yeah, I think he has a hard time keeping him on. If anything,
right,
that's
exactly.
right. He's got a much harder. He's got to be cognizant to keep him on. So it's better to come in excess with a guy like that who is built more like a basketball player than a football player, right?
Right, exactly. Got that length that you look for as a basketball player, and he definitely uses that frame of his to add to his elusiveness. There's no doubt about it. But
and one more diversion, real quick, Glenn. I'm going to cut you off here.
Yeah.
And Diamond, how did you not know that Nana Rave was a woman? All we do is rave about Nana Rave, bro. Like, come on, Nick Diamond.
Yeah, come on now. She's a celebrity in the chats of Fourth Man Sports Talk. What's going on, Nick Solano? Appreciate you coming out with us. Thanks for providing some a good talking.
If you didn't check out the last video yet, it was due to your questions. So make sure to go check it out, man. But sorry, Glenn, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that's cool. Lamar's not the only one there. It's looking like they have about 80 players attending this workout. Somewhere around 94%, arrival rate, I guess, or, I'm not sure how you say that, but what I want to know is who's not there, because if Lamar's there and, I got to assume that the young weapons are going to be there on the outside. It's not like we have this old veteran in the wide receiver room who we could see skipping. I doubt that Mark Andrews. So who would you predict that is not there right now? Because 80 people, that's a lot, but it's not all of them. Who do you think would have the clout and the ability? Maybe a Calais Campbell. Does Calais Campbell miss?
Yeah, I don't think. And what about guys that are recovering? So like, is Ronnie there? Probably not. And shout out to Ing Raven, of course. Anytime, any look, just like Glenn and I used to say in 2-on-2 back in the day. Anytime, any place, baby. Yep. Look, Ing Raven, you let us know. We would be more than happy to do a show. It would be our pleasure. Anytime, any place. We would be excited to give the people what they want.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, I could see, like, I don't know if Ronnie counts against that formula that you're talking about, right?
Right. Yeah, he might not because he's a rehab guy.
But maybe a Bradley Bozeman.
Okay.
But if he's shifting to center, I'd say
he's gonna have to be there.
He's probably there.
I mean, I guess
Marcus
Jimmy
Peters.
Smith. Yeah, Jimmy Smith. Maybe Marlon.
Yeah, Marlon.
Because Marlon's making a lot of news. Not only is he heavily involved in trying to recruit Julio Jones, but he's also making news because he's living in his RV while his massive mansion is being built. And you know, people are making that a big news. I'm like, you know, look, I'm sure this RV is just fine for him while he's getting it. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was interesting. He's staying in an RV while his big, massive new house is being made. So yeah, shout out to Marlon for that. But yeah, I could see Marlon missing. Maybe Brandon Williams. I could see another guy who I could see skipping some time. So it sounds like all of our predictions are on the defensive side. The entire offense must be there, right?
Is there any?
Maybe Zeitler, but he's coming to a new team. So
right, and I was thinking Alejandro, but he's changing positions.
Yeah, I think they all have to be there. So it's pretty cool. Oh, and Tay Dollar says Marlon and Jimmy are there. So I would love to know who's not
there.
Who
isn't there?
Because I'm seeing 94%.
Justin Tucker? Sam Cook?
Something tells me he's there because they got a new long snapper. Because the Wolfpack is broken up. They want to get together. You know, they talk about the amount of reps they put in. And I'm
sure Watkins is there too, even though he's the vet in the wide receiver room, because it's a new team.
And a new quarterback. He's got to get that chemistry down. So, yeah. Oh, it says Sammy and Mark aren't there. Wow, that is surprising that Andrews, because we all saw a bunch of pictures with Lamar, Mark, and Hollywood all, you know, training together, as well as looking like having some fun together afterwards. So yeah, that's so maybe I guess they're just, you know, I guess they're comfortable with the amount of work they did with Lamar in the offseason. And yeah, but that is surprising to see that some offensive guys, especially with Sammy coming to a new team. Usually when you come to a new team, you want to kind of impress your new staff there. So yeah, that's a little surprising. But I did watch some of the content that the Ravens.com is putting out, and some of their hype videos and stuff like that. And while you don't see a lot, I thought it was a nice little peek into the type of detail that these coaches give these young guys. And also the way they have to kind of throttle some of these young guys back. I saw T. Martin, which was kind of cool, finally seeing him on the field and seeing what he's going to be doing and coaching these guys. Yeah. And he was having to throttle back some of these rookies. He said, look, we don't need you out there diving for balls on day one. We don't need you out there. He was like, they're out there. They're out there getting it. Like, you got to work up for these guys, because guys like Bateman, guys like Tylen Wallace, and even some of the guys that have been here for a year with Duvernay and Prochet, I'm sure they want to impress the new coaches. They want to, try and get on the field a little more often. So they're out there giving it all. But I thought it was kind of cool to see, these coaches interacting with these young guys early on. Yeah, for sure. I've learned that the hardest thing, honestly, to do with an athlete is to learn how to check your ego at the door, in that not every day is a hammer day, right? Like today might be, a situation or a type of practice where you learn one new thing, one new technique, but it's not a hammer, results driven day. Right. So knowing how to check your ego at the door and not be hyper competitive and turn that off is much harder. So yeah, a lot of these things that a lot of people think that coaches are about hitting the gas, but a lot of times about hitting the brakes. Right. So it's definitely interesting. I agree with you there. I saw Hollywood out there running routes with, number 5 on. He looked good. I mean, he's known to be in the gym. Looks like he's in good shape. So, I mean, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was, all these videos are out. People are getting excited. Are there any names in your mind, Glenn? And DK, put your name, put a name or two, as liberally as you'd like. A few names in the banner as well. Some names of some guys that you think could take a big step forward in this offseason, right? To kind of fill out a role or carve themselves a role
into this offense, defense, or special teams? And any guys that come to mind for you that maybe you weren't thinking about in the offseason until you started seeing some of these videos and you're like, I forgot about this guy, but I think he could really make a move forward this year.
Most of these videos are really talking about the rookies, so I haven't been able to see as far as guys that are currently on the roster. But I think seeing more about Shaun Wade has got me more excited. I mean, I think that this guy he just seems so hungry to prove himself. And one of those guys that seemed really slighted by how much he fell in the draft. Like he had to have been shocked to see himself fall to the 5th round. I mean, I don't think if you would have told him this last year, there's any chance. And just looking at the way he played, I mean, he just seems excited and ready to prove himself. And I love his mentality. He said, look, I'm going to impact the team in any way they ask me to. And if that means that's all I'm doing is playing special teams, then that's how I impact the game. And that's how I help this team win. So I just love hearing the team first from all these guys. I like hearing it from Dalen Hayes talking about, man, he was getting watery-eyed just putting on his jersey for the first time, putting his helmet on, and just he went from one great, one team that, in Notre Dame that had talk about legacy and how you're just the next in the line of greatness. And he said the same goes for Baltimore. It's pretty cool that the Ravens have been able to build that in such a short time, only being around since 1996 when a lot of these franchises have been around for 100 years or close to it. So that was pretty cool. But as far as returning players, I didn't see much of him on film, but I really want to see what Malik Harrison can do this year, because I think he's a guy that gets overlooked a lot with Patrick Queen and obviously the re-signing of LJ Fort and the impact that he makes on the field. But I'm interested to see what Malik Harrison can do with a full off season and just working his way onto the field more. He's such a fantastic athlete at his size. I think he brings a unique, play style to this team, that downhill, that violence he brings. And I think people sleep on his speed and athleticism at the same time.
Skills, yeah.
Absolutely, because he's so big that they think he's with his lumbering. No, I mean, he's still fast, he's still explosive, and he can bring some heat. And when he gets there, he gets there with violence. So that's one guy I'm looking for on defense. I mean, we've talked a lot about guys across the offensive side of the ball. I mean, Duvernay, it's hard to look past Duvernay as far as one of those young guys.
That's a good one, DK. I like that one as well.
Yeah, look at that, DK. I didn't even notice that. I was just happened to go in that direction, so that's really awesome. But yeah, I think you're right, DK. I think Duvernay is primed to really make an impact. I mean, this is a guy that you can just use in so many different ways, and I think his impact. I was looking at his impact as a kick returner. He might already be the best kick returner in the National Football League. I mean, that's how good he was. He had the highest, I think, percent of going to the 25 or past when he actually returned it. He was number 1 in the league. So this guy is already an impactful player, might be the best return man in the game day one or week one. But let's see what he can do. Let's see how the Ravens can be creative and use him in this offense and not just use him as the occasional end-around gadget guy and then you stick him on the sideline the rest of the game.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great one. For me on defense, and a lot of people said it in the chat, but I think Metabike is going to make, just a monstrous jump this year. I can't wait to see what he can do with his speed and violence and strength. And so I'm excited to see what he can do in alleviating some of the pressure that we have in the need to get pressure on the outside. So just getting pressure in general, I think he's already going to make a big step forward this coming season, outside or inside. Obviously, he's more focused on the inside, but I think he's going to be really, in fact, I think he's probably our best inside pass rusher. I know it's crazy to think we got Calais Campbell, but based on what Calais is now at this stage in his career, I think Metabike is going to solidify himself as our best interior pass rusher and a highly valued guy on the defensive side of the football in this coming season. I think for me, offensively, Duvernay is a great one, and JK is an obvious one. But if I had to think, I've kind of put myself on the spot here, haven't I, Glenn?
Yes, you have. Well, you want me to give you a little bit of time because I thought somebody brought up a really nice one in the chat.
Yeah.
And that's Anthony Averett. I know I'm going back to the defensive side.
There you go.
But I think Anthony Averett, he absolutely showed himself to be a guy you could rely on in the second half of the season last year. And we all know that the Tavon Young injury bug and that's likely going to bite at some point. So he's going to be asked to come on the field. And if Shaun Wade isn't ready to perform at this level, because cornerback, it's not so easy just to transition from the college ranks to the pros. And honestly, there was moments in Sean Wade was kind of unique. He had moments of brilliance, and then he had moments where he looked pretty bad against the top level talent. So that's all you're going to see is the top level talent when you get to the league. So if he doesn't show that he's ready in practice and in the spot times that he'll be getting on the field early on, then they're going to turn to Anthony Averett to be that guy. Now, I'm not sure if he's a nickel replacement, because typically what we see is Marlon moved inside or Jimmy Smith will go inside here and there, and they'll put Averett on the outside, opposite Marcus Peters. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he can do. He's going to be continuing to grow into his frame, put some more muscle on, put a little bit more weight on. And I think he could end up being a good player because, man, he showed you could count on him when there was an injury. Let's see if we can count on him and he can start breaking in the lineup when there's no injury in front of him.
Yeah, no, for sure. I totally agree with you there. Now, I got my name here, and I don't know if he cracks the starting lineup if everyone's healthy, but I think he's going to have a huge improvement in his game, and there's a chance for him to make some hay on the field depending on how things turn out. And that's Tyree Phillips, the first big country that the Ravens drafted. And the reason I think that is because similar to Dafe Owe, is that he's so young as a football player. Only played football senior year in high school, then played some JUCO, and then obviously played D1. But I think that he, based on his build, his athleticism, his work ethic, I think he can make a really big jump. And then, in the future, I think he could solidify himself as our starting right tackle, maybe in the second year of that Villanueva deal. So Villanueva could be that bridge, and then Tyree takes over. So that's where I'm going to go offensively. While he might, like I said, he might not crack the starting five.
If he doesn't, then that means that's really good things for Baltimore.
Exactly. That's only good for us because that means that Ben Cleveland most likely has solidified himself at left guard. That Bozeman has seamlessly transitioned over into center, and that Zeitler is healthy and humming, right? And Villanueva is doing his thing, and Ronnie's back.
Ronnie's healthy.
So there's a lot of ifs there. So that also means for him a lot of chances for him to potentially get on the field.
Yeah. Oh, because I think there's no doubt he gets on the field in spots with that extra lineman the Ravens like to bring in. So he's going to get on the field, but is he going to get on the field in those spots, or is he going to be relied upon to be a game starter? Now, I don't think he's going to be a starter, but he could be asked to start a game or two. But that's the beauty about a guy like Alejandro, is he's never missed a game. So this guy, you can count on him, to at least be there. But he could end up. I think Alejandro. There's no doubt that it's at least got to be in the back of the coaches' minds that Alejandro could be forced to take over for Ronnie,
right,
at some point if something happens again. Now, a lot of his injuries have been just bad luck. It's not because he's out of shape. It's not because, he does anything wrong doing on his part. It's just he's been getting rolled up on a couple times, and it's just been some bad luck. But I think that there's got to be something in the back of the coach's mind, like, man, we might need Alejandro to go over to the left at some point this season. So I'm hopeful that Tyree is doing an awful lot in training camp and leading up at right tackle, because that's the spot that's got me the most concerned, the most worried, is the left tackle spot. Because if we lose one of the interior guys, I think we both agree there's other guys, while not as good, can get in there and get the job done. At least if say Zeitler's forced to miss 3-4 weeks, we could at least piece together a position, the right guard position, and make it to where guys can get it done. Now, if if Ronnie goes out, Alejandro is really the only guy I'm going to feel good about being over on the left side protecting him. So, let's see what happens. But that's where I'd be. I'm just a little worried about that left side. Is he ready? Can he make a whole season?
Right.
But Illuminati says,
yes, shout out.
Appreciate it. He says, keep up the good work, fellas. # Ravens flock. Absolutely. I think what's really cool is that I've been watching and looking at the comments and a bunch of other stuff. And man, are people not just so pumped for this season? Not just in Ravenland, and across the whole league, people are so excited to get back and not just see football, but get back in the stadium and watch it live.
Experience football.
Yeah. Right now, expected to see full stadiums all across the league.
Yeah, so no, I cannot wait. Of course, as we mentioned, we're going to be at the home opener against Kansas City Chiefs. Come out and tailgate with us. We'll have some swag and some other things like that, which we will also have at the end of this month. I'm narrowing down on our logo.
I'm not going to give it away but Jimmy showed me the preview, and let's just say we love talking Ravens talk. Okay,
That's
and
right.
we'll be able to rep that on the swag.
Yeah, absolutely. But I want to get to this. First of all, we have a big announcement as far as the future of the show that Glenn and I are excited to announce with you guys. And then I want to get into something that's been in the comments, and that is a new partnership that 410 Sports Talk has with Newsbreak, the number one downloaded news app right now inside the United States. We are now content creators on Newsbreak. We've created a partnership with them. So what we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to put our unique link in the chat. You guys go down. If you want to support the show, the best way you can do it is, of course, subscribe to the channel, which is free, and then go ahead and download the Newsbreak app, which is also free. But make sure to use our unique link that I'll put here in the chat here in a second. But we're really excited about it. It's another way for us to get a hold of fans all over the world and take a look at have them stay tuned in with the Ravens, stay locked in, and talk Ravens talk.
That's
so
right.
I'm going to put that link in the chat right now, certainly. But I wanted to make that known.
Yeah, please do. Again, it's free. Not going to cost you anything. Just click on it, download it, and it'll help us out. But yeah, I think what's cool about what they do is they just use local content creators, and that's how they grow their news app. They're not using the big the big sources. They're using local guys. So we appreciate them reaching out to us, and appreciate all of you who choose to download that. Yeah, that's exciting stuff. I mean, anytime we're on another outlet, that's pretty exciting stuff. So
yeah. But I want to get to something else here, Glenn.
Let's do it.
And we made a video about Julio Jones, and that's going to be available to you guys shortly if it isn't already. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was I've seen in the comments, I've seen a few things that I wanted to spell. One, Julio Jones being injury prone, and I understand, but I want to talk about that for a second because I looked up some things and it's not as bad as you think. The other thing, if you guys are still talking about Antonio Brown, because he still technically is not signed, hasn't passed.
No, he did. He did.
Oh, did he?
He did today. He did today.
Oh, okay. Yep. So
it's officially done.
But if you guys, either way, if you wanted Antonio Brown that bad to the point you're talking about him, how can you not turn around and justify Julio Jones?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about, to me, the best wide receiver in the NFL when he's healthy. I mean, it's blasphemous to say Julio Jones sucks in the same sentence.
Yes.
I mean, that's just absolute blasphemy, right?
Oh, my goodness. It's ridiculous. He's the best receiver of his generation, I would say. I mean, most of the time, if you look at those NFL wired stuff, I've seen great receivers looking over at at Julio in warmups and going, that's the guy right there. That's the guy I'm looking to. So yeah, the big difference, I think, what they would be pointing to is the money difference there, because
sure,
I think if I remember off the top of my head, Antonio Brown's like 3.8 million, and Julio Jones is what is it, 15 or 13, something like that?
3, yeah.
So that's the difference. But as far as Julio Jones being old, Julio Jones 31. Antonio Brown's older than that. So I'm not sure if that was your point. But yeah, I mean, he is older, but he's not old at 31. I don't think that's considered old. He's older for the position. But I want to, kind of go down that when you're talking about the injuries, because you're right, Jimmy. He only played 9 games last year, right? But then he played in 15, in 19. He played in 16 in 2018. He played in 16 in 2017. He played in 14 in 2016. Then he back to 16 in 2015, and then 15 games in 2014. So this guy has missed let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. He missed 4 games over a 5-year period until last year, where he missed 7 games.
And let's be honest, if they were in the playoff hunt, you don't think he would have been back?
I think in 19 he definitely would have played all 16. Yeah,
right.
There's no doubt about it. So this guy hasn't been as hurt as the perception is. It's not a guy who misses a ton of games. It's just that's all you see on the status. Man, is he going to make? Now he's played through some injuries. I'll give him that. Like, there's been in games where he wasn't. He was kind of 50-50. He didn't do a whole lot of practicing. Now that I understand. If you want to criticize the fact that he doesn't practice a lot throughout the year because he's typically dealing with an injury and they're hopeful to get him up for game day, so he misses a lot of practice. I mean, I'll go down that road with you, because he would be coming here learning a new offense. But man, the guy is actually relatively healthy, and man, he's so daggone good. He's so good.
Right. There's really no way around it. I mean, he's incredibly talented. It's a risk, and it's a calculated risk is what it comes down to. Because if we sign him, he puts us over the top. I mean, it's a risk that we made, and that was worth it, right? If we sign him, he gets injured, or we don't get over the top, then it doesn't look as good. The concern, of course, and it's a valid concern, is that he might mess up the extension of Andrews and Hollywood. But let me tell you something. Hollywood has flashed, but if you had to put one season together and next year, barring health, if you're saying who's going to have a better season, is it going to be Julio or is it going to be Marquise Brown? Obviously, it's going to be Julio Jones, right?
Yeah.
The next 2 seasons, even barring health, we'll assume they're both healthy. Who's going to have a better season? So Julio will be 33 years old. I think 9 people out of 10 are still going to take Julio Jones.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. There you go. So, I mean, look, it's a risk, and I get that, right? But if we tout that we have the best front office in the NFL, 1, we know how to calculate our risks, and when they're worth taking, we take them. 2, we know how to get deals done and get creative with the cap.
Yeah. Oh, no. There's no doubt about it. But Luis Cubias? Go ahead, Jimmy. Help me out. Okay,
Luis Cubias.
Okay, thank you, Jimbo. He says, I'm fearful that the Chiefs trade for Julio out of nowhere, just like they did with OBJ. They could use another wide receiver, and they love to spoil Mahomes. It's definitely it's possible. I think they have just under $8 million. But I'm sure. Look, their GM has shown that he's willing to be very creative with the cap, and I'm sure he could, if he really wanted to, find a way to squeeze him in there. I don't know if you want to continue to throw that much money at one position, which is the pass catching position, when you already have guys like Tyreek Hill and you already have Travis Kelce. But I guess it's possible. I don't know if that would be the wisest. I think they have other holes that they might want to fill other than that. But man, if they go out and get him, I'm not gonna lie, I would be worried. I'd be like, man, it was already a steep hill. That was already a big hill to climb. Now you gotta add him into it, and man, that would be an already scary offense look damn near impossible.
Now, there's one thing, Luis, that you shouldn't be fearful about this. There's an easy, and I say easy, but there is still a way to combat this. They could have nothing but Julio Joneses across the board, right? But football is a team game. Who do they have on the other side of the ball? If we keep Julio Jones and Patrick, and all those other guys, Patrick Mahomes, off the field because we have an elite running attack,
right?
Then you render them less impactful, right? So it's also about who the Chiefs have on the other side of the ball as well. And that's always been the case, but this is certainly a valid concern in that Andy Reid is the Mike D'Antoni of the NFL. Don't you think?
Well, I don't think he disregards defense quite to the level.
I just don't think he values it the same. Like, he doesn't really care about it. I think
that defense tends to ramp it up when it becomes playoff time. I mean, they went and got Tyrann Mathieu. They made sure he's not going anywhere. They signed Frank Clark to a monster deal. They're not letting him go anywhere. Chris Jones, they gave him buku's money, I think second only to Aaron Donald. So it's not like they're totally disregarding the defensive side, but he's an offensive
offshores it though. You know what I'm saying? Like, he gives that in those calls on defense. He's not. I don't think he's interjecting too much. He's letting his experienced DC do his thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And,
there's no doubt. Yeah.
Just like Dan Antoni had that defensive coach when he was at the Rockets that they let go and then they brought back, and it's because Dan Antoni doesn't want anything to. He's like, this is boring.
He's like Sean McVay. He saw when he got the job with the Rams, he brought over Wade Phillips and let Wade Phillips do what he does, and that's run the defense.
Right.
But man, that would be a scary.
Yeah.
That would be. And now I'm not gonna. Now let's say the teams that we don't want to see get.
Yeah,
because all the teams I'm seeing are AFC teams.
Yeah, because they want to get them out of conference.
But why? They're not competing anytime soon. I mean,
they said that's their preference, but at the end of the day, they did also say that they're going to send him to the team with the best offer.
Yeah, well, kind of like the Ravens did with OBJ, right? I'm sure they weren't thrilled to send him to the team they're going to be competing with, but they gave him the best offer. But so let's say, if you had to pick one team, let's do it this way. In the AFC, one of the teams they're in the news going after them are the Patriots, the Titans, the Colts. Who else am I missing, chat? I know the Patriots, Titans, Colts were the top 3. The Chargers. Those are the top 4 that I saw that were a little bit above the Ravens as far as the odds. Which one if you could pick one of those teams where it wouldn't make you as scared or as bummed out that you didn't, or that the Ravens didn't get him? Because I know you're pretty high on the Ravens taking a chance and going and getting Julio. Who would you hope he goes to that wouldn't make you as nervous?
I don't know. Part of me wants to say that Carson Wentz is just broken
mentally.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they can bring him back. So the Patriots is another good one, but I still believe people are going to think I'm crazy, but I still believe in Cam Newton. I think those were weird circumstances last year. He took a skeleton team to 7-9. And so, I mean, you look at those weapons they just put around him. You add Julio Jones to that, and to me, Cam Newton's still under center. Holy crap. That is a scary offense with those two tight ends, Nelson Aguilar, Julio Jones, and then, Bill running the defense. I think that there's a chance they can be really good. So, and the Chargers, so I'm between the Chargers and the Colts. I think the Colts are a more complete team. The Chargers would be flamethrowers on offense. At the same time, I'm still used to the Chargers being like perpetual losers.
Because, always coming up short. Yep.
Right. But that could change. Of course, Philly's gone. Philly Ribs is gone.
Yeah, this is Justin Herbert's team now, and Derwin James is back on that defensive side, at least for now. He's really, really excited.
So I'm going to say the Colts.
Yeah, I guess if I had – see, the only thing that worries me there is they have such a strong run attack. They have such a great offensive line that, man, either way, no matter what, I don't want him going to the Tennessee Titans.
No.
No. I don't want to see the Tennessee Titans – with daggone Julio Jones opposite A.J. Brown. That would make me a little bit nervous. And while we have great corners here in Baltimore, we saw
what they did to Marlon.
Yes. Now, Marlon got back. He ended up pretty much shutting him down in the second half of that game. But, man, he kind of sunned Marlon a little bit on that one play, pushing him out of his way and going up and getting it. So I also, so I guess if I had to pick one team, I agree with you. Man, it's down to the Chargers and the Colts. If I had to pick one, I think I would have to go with the Chargers, only because
they're less a complete team. Like,
I guess so, but when they're healthy, they're a really good team, and they are pretty complete. But Bosa's likely not going to make it through the whole year. Derwin James, same goes with him. And yeah, they put a good offensive line in front of them, and they got Eckler out of the backfield, and they're pretty good. But I think I got to go with Julio.
DK, where do you want him to go? If he doesn't go to Baltimore, where would you prefer that he goes?
Obviously NFC, but it has to be an AFC team.
Right.
Yeah, that's true, DK. That's a good point. They could use the addition of Julio to get Aaron Rodgers to put down the ukulele and come back to Green Bay because. Yeah, man, that would be tempting. He'd finally get a first-round pick to throw the ball to. It just wouldn't be their first-round pick. It would be Atlanta's, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. And, a first-round pick that's no longer – while Julio's not old, he's not a spring chicken either. Right. So certainly that could help maybe get him a couple thousand miles closer to Green Bay, right? Get him back on the motherland.
Might shave his face.
Yeah, and cut his hair.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, certainly that would be interesting. But I don't know why, other than the argument that Jones would impede us signing young guys in the future. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much validity there is, or the reason for the argument of not. So sorry, other than cap implications, like whatever that may be, I understand that. I don't know from a football standpoint why it makes sense not to. I'm seeing some arguments in the chat that I don't really understand, like talking about Giro and stuff like that. But look, Greg Roman's produced 1,000 plus wide receivers, double touchdown, wide receivers in the past. He did so with Sammy Watkins. I mean, Julio Jones has to salivate at the idea of a defense having to dedicate 8 people to the box.
Yeah.
I mean,
shout out to Chris Sirico. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but he wanted a shout out. So
I want to feel important. You are important, my friend. Never forget that.
Now, hold on, McDiamond. Hold on now. Now, if you want to argue that Antonio Brown is better than Julio, okay. I mean, you have an argument there because the numbers he put up over that stretch were undeniable. They were absolutely insane. But Odell Beckham Jr., that is blasphemous to even compare him to Julio Jones. Absolutely blasphemous. You cannot do it. He's had a blip on the radar compared to what Julio's done over the longevity of his career.
And even if you
it's not even close.
Right. No, absolutely. My goodness.
I mean, it's not even he had the one real, I'll look it up now, but man, if you look up the stats that Julio's done over the length of his career, the consistency in which he's played with, it's absolutely staggering. Now, Odell Beckham had some years where he had some really good seasons, but not even close to the level of what Julio Jones has done. His best season, he had 1,400 yards. Odell Beckham Jr. did. In Julio Jones' best season, he had almost 1,900 yards. So you talk about the consistency, the longevity, the touchdown. Everything, the catches. He's just done it all. Now, I'm not saying Odell is a garbage receiver, although lately he hasn't really produced. But to compare them to, I think is a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch there, and I the argument about with Antonio Brown, I understand that people think he's better, but you can always what would Julio have done in that system? Imagine him getting the same amount of targets that Antonio Brown got, right?
Insane.
I realize those are hypothetical scenarios, but it's something worth talking about in this instance because, yeah, it's very easy to see that. Or to say that his numbers would be equal to, if not better than what Antonio's were. But like you said, you have an argument. If Antonio Brown is your flavor, if that's your guy, then that's fine.
It's hard to argue anything about Antonio on the field. The guy is so ridiculous. Gets it done. Yeah,
in so many ways. Good. Over the top, in a phone booth. He's exciting with the ball in his hands. Got great hands, body awareness, all those things. But I think that Julio has all those things, and he's uniquely physically gifted.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know. Like I said, and I said in the video, make sure you guys check it out. I don't want to get too much in depth on it, but I do want to mention that I stand on the side that the Ravens should take a risk. Ravens should take a risk. Right. Go after him because people can say, oh, well, we got Marquise, we got Bateman, we got Tylen, we got Boykin, we got Duvernay. Tell me what they've done in the NFL.
Nobody says Boykin, but no, you're right.
But as far as we have a collection of potential, right?
We got what, two guys that you can look at that have a track record, and that's Sammy and Hollywood. Other than that, nobody on this roster has a track record at the receiver position. They just don't. Now we can say that we hope and we expect Bateman to be something, but we don't know. He could be Brashad Perriman because I think we all remember when Brashad was first out there. Man, I heard the same thing. He looks the part. He's exactly what we thought he would be when he showed up. I remember 105.7, they were raving about him. They were talking about, man, he's bigger, he's faster than anyone they've seen at the wide receiver position in Ravens history. And he ended up being a complete and total dud. So as much as we expect these young guys to eventually develop and perform, Jimmy froze at a hilarious position. It's just as funny on your screen. Okay, there it goes. You froze doing this to your neck. Totally threw me off for about 10 seconds.
That's funny because my screens went black. I didn't see you for about 10 seconds.
Oh, really? Yeah. You got to work on that. That's that Baltimore internet, man.
Baltimore has that monopoly. Comcast has a monopoly on Baltimore City, and I hate it because I hate Comcast. I hope you're watching. I hate you, Comcast. I hate you.
You got to get that Fios. You got to get what I got.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Gigabyte.
Fios has only got one spot in the city right now, and it hasn't come this far south, and it's ridiculous, man. I hate it. I hate you, Comcast, and I think it is illegal, the monopoly.
Hey, go, man. We appreciate you being out here, but don't tell me to go watch Boykin's highlights. You can put highlights together of any player. Go watch Kyle Bowler's highlights. And highlights don't tell me nothing. Everyone looks good in highlights. They're highlights.
When a part of your description as a wide receiver is he's a good blocker, it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem. So look, you're telling me right now, straight up, you wouldn't rather have Julio Jones rather than all of those guys I just mentioned, except for Rashad Bateman? You could take all of them collectively and just not saying this would happen, salary cap standpoint.
I'm not trading away Lamar's best friend. I've seen too much of them together. I think that would burn the bridge of Lamar Jackson. I'm keeping Hollywood just to
get, but you understand, as far as potential, we have it, but we don't have proven commodities.
Right.
Yeah, and nothing close to Hollywood. I mean, to Julio. So it makes no sense to me.
None of the guys on the team, and I'd be willing to go out on the limb and say, including Rashad Bateman, have the potential to be Julio, because Julio is a Hall of Famer. So how can you expect any guy who's never touched the field to even have that as their ceiling? I'm not really willing to do that. So yeah, I think that Julio is the moment he comes. Imagine just the presence he would bring to the room. I mean, the amount of extra work DCs would have to do in preparation going into that game. Like, all right, how are we going to stop Lamar? How are we going to stop Julio? How are we going to stop Mark Andrews, the run game? It would just add another headache to it. And the only question I would have is, obviously, like you said, how does it impact signing the young guys that we like going forward?
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting, but I kind of want to change gears here because I'm getting a little concerned, Glenn. I think this is really cool. The Ravens do this. Joe Ortiz, of course, the president or whatever of scouting, he sat down with some media members, and we're hoping to be in on this, the next year, if not 2 years from now. But
we got to get that press pass, Jimbo. We got to look into that.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things that he did, which I thought was really cool, is he watched game film, broke down game film with allowing media members to ask questions.
Wow, that's cool.
Which I thought was really cool. And so I listened to the audio of some of that, and they were going over Udafe Owe's game film.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting a little concerned, Glenn, because there's a lot of justification in his a lot of justifying, a lot of wait and see, a lot of if you guys could see what I see type thing. And so it makes me a little nervous that they're starting to prep for this thing not working out. So one of the things that they talked about was, he kept bringing up the edge setter, but you got to remember he's a great edge setter. They've got to work on translating his speed into the game. And that was something that you talked about where like he might be a workout warrior, but Ortiz said himself, the way he passes that he rushes the passer is not with speed, it's with power.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do we get him to translate that speed into football? As far as pass rushing, obviously we've seen him close in the run game, but pass rushing. So overall, I started getting a little nervous and wanted to see where you were. We've had some more time for this to sink in, but when it comes to Udafe Owe, I feel like it's been a seesaw in my brain, right?
Yeah.
But where are you as far as he goes? I don't know, man. Like I'm getting a little concerned. Should I? Are you gonna, walk me back? What's your take?
Well, I think that what he's doing is he's tempering expectations in the sack department early on. What he doesn't want to see is Udafe goes 2-3 games to start the year, has no sacks, and the fans start, turning against her. The articles start being written. Is he a bust? Should he be contributing more? Because if you're not getting sacks at the outside linebacker position, it can be hard to accumulate meaningful stats. I mean, he could go into a game. So if he comes out of the first 3 weeks and he has maybe say 13 to 15 total tackles and that's it, doesn't have any sacks, doesn't have any pass breakups, doesn't have any tip balls at the line, doesn't have anything like that, then I think what he's trying to do is hopefully, stave off those articles and the rumblings of the fans. Like, is he a bust? Did they take him too early? Should they have gone this way? Should they have gone that way? I think what he's trying to do is he's preparing for a possible slow start, which isn't crazy to think when the guy's so new to football, only starting at age 17. So I think he's doing that. But also what he was pointing out when he says he's not a speed rusher, he's a power guy. The guy has incredibly strong hands. The way he gets a hold of the tackle and can keep him off his body and then shed him and make the play, I think really speaks to that hand strength. And when he says he's not a speed rusher, it's because he doesn't necessarily explode off the ball like you would expect a guy when you look at his speed numbers. You'd expect that guy to be running. I mean, I remember watching tape on, the outside linebacker. I'm blanking on his name. But I was watching tape on an undersized guy who only could win using his speed. And he was so fast around the edge because he needed to be, because if he didn't, once they got their paws on him, he was pretty much eliminated. So he doesn't have that crazy speed. He actually he needs to improve that get off that he has around the edge, because he doesn't play with extreme burst around the edge like you would hope when you see a 4.3 640. So he's got to improve there. And I think he's also tempering expectations in the sense that, look, this isn't a guy that when the ball is snapped, he's beating the right tackle or left tackle into position. That's not really his game yet. And I think that he's just tempering expectations, and really that's it. But I think that you should start getting used to the possibility that it could be a slow start from the sack department, and that we might be seeing his contributions more in the run game early on. But I also wouldn't be shocked at all to see him make huge leaps that we just haven't seen yet, and that they can't see yet without contact being introduced and without the veterans being there and playing, a little more contact. All this is right now is just, doing drills and working on your technique and stuff like that. But this isn't hitting yet. So let's be, I think he's just tempering expectations and hoping that he'll, exceed the expectations he set.
When I got really worried, Glenn? I got really worried when he started talking about, he said, of course, there's no film of him getting sacks in this past year. But if you go back and look at the previous season, you can see him getting to the quarterback. And he brought up a scenario in which it was a Hail Mary. And he sacked the quarterback in a situation where all the quarterback was trying to do was create as much time as possible. And I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, man, if you have to start using that as a justification, and I understand your point, but like, that's the film you're looking at to see him actually getting home to get the quarterback. That's like, what I mean? That's one of those things.
But in a Hail Mary, they do max protect.
Right.
Because they know they got to give a guy a chance to get down there. So it's not like, I see what you're saying. And also, it's not like you're blitzing. You're not blitzing when you're covering a Hail Mary. So you're probably only sending 3 or 4. And a lot of times when you send 3 or 4 on a Hail Mary, they do get stuffed, and the quarterback does have enough time to get the ball out. So, I see your point, though. You don't really want to look to that, but I don't know. I'm not that worried yet. I think he's tempering expectations.
I'm officially in camp skeptic.
Oh my! I like it.
Back in
you
it.
Need that.
I'm back in it because I was out of it for a little bit after the draft, and I was like feeling good.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm nervous again. I just worry that this could be one of those situations where Wink falls in love with a few characteristics and thinks that he can make that guy into something that maybe he can't.
Well, you can't teach the thing he does bring, and that's that athletic ability. You can't just make a guy athletic overnight,
right?
But you can make a guy better at technique.
You're right, but it's also, I think, hard to teach. Like, there are great football players and great athletes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So it's there's something to be said about having a great athlete and then teaching them how to be a great football player at the same time. And that's my concern, is that there might be a gap between him being a great athlete and a great football player. Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now. So there's a saying in Spanish, ojalá. It means hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully, man. Oh my gosh.
Well, the problem is you're going to have to be worried until that. I don't even know if a preseason game will alleviate some of the concerns, but maybe a little bit. Look, even if they aren't guys that are going to eventually make the NFL roster, they're still probably the best guys on their college team or their former college team. So even beating a backup, offensive lineman who eventually will get cut by their pro team, he's still probably beating a guy who's better than what he was facing at Penn State last year.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So anyway, I want to spend some time there because I was getting a little nervous there, Glenn.
But is that the only rookie? Like, here's my thing: is he the only rookie? Because it seems like you're high on all the other rookies. Is it just because that lack of sacks? This is
the other thing too. Is that they talked about power being his move, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so if you go look at his college tape, where he's playing against, like you said, lesser competition than he'll see in the NFL, he wasn't just throwing guys off the ball. He wasn't extremely, extremely powerful. So power is your best move. And you're a first-round pick in the NFL. I want to turn on your college tape and see you hump, doing that hump move like Reggie White with one hand and throwing a 300-pound offensive line. I want to see you bull rushing and putting people in the dirt. I don't want to see you getting stood up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was my other concern too. Because if you're feeding me the idea that power is his A, and he's going up against Ronnie Stanley, Orlando Brown, the list goes on and on and on. How you're telling me he's going to overpower Orlando Brown when he couldn't do it in the Big Ten?
Well, he did do it though. He just didn't do it and get home a lot. He did. Like, I watched, he bull rushed. This guy can do it. It's not like he was a one-trick speed rush guy. Because then you can take those guys out of the game. You chip him. If you chip a speed guy only, he's gone. He's out of the game. this guy showed the ability to do everything and just do it in a raw level. So I think that they're just hopeful they can hone all his skills. But the fact of the matter is the speed is there, and as long as they can hone it, and the power is there. Yeah. And if they can have those worlds meet, it could be a special player.
Said it once, I'll say it again. Ojalá.
Yes, and what I think is it's going to come down to that coaching, and I'm so confident in the defensive coaching staff that they put together. By the way, it was hilarious to see Rob Ryan's big chest. He was out there playing bocce ball with the rest of the boys, and it was hilarious. I mean, these old school coaches were looking like, man, I was watching Rob. He's like, look at all them muscles, and that ball was 10 yards short playing bocce ball. So he was cutting it up with the young guys, a game that he's probably played for quite some time, and these young guys never even heard of. So it was pretty cool seeing, but more importantly, seeing guys like Wilkins, Rob Ryan, obviously Wink. We got a pretty good staff, so I'm going to show confidence in those guys and their ability to develop, especially because Wink not like he's a former DB. It's a linebacker coach. Right. So he knows, and that includes outside linebacker. He knows how to get guys ready. So I'm excited to see what Wilkins and what Wink and what Rob Ryan can do with all these young guys.
And just to clarify, you remember the hump move, right? The Reggie White with the one arm.
He would just get up under your armpit. You get up under that armpit, and he darn near lift you off the ground.
Exactly. So that's what I was referring to.
No, I
when the guy's got power, man, it's just ridiculous. So anyway, I could watch Reggie White.
Reggie White was a freak.
Day. Yeah, no, certainly. But I mean,
not many people can just do that's probably not the most technical move, but when you're so much more powerful than everyone, he just get up under that armpit and move you. I mean, I agree, but I think he might be one of a kind there.
Yeah, certainly. That's true. That's why I could watch that all day, man. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Just making men look like children.
Absolutely. So you're not worried. So what you've seen, the little bit you've seen from OA has you a little concerned, or more importantly, the response of the coaches. Okay, a lot concerned. But what you're seeing out of Bateman, has that made you any more confident that he can be the number one that the Ravens and Ravens fans have been hoping for?
Yeah, so what I love about Rashad Bateman is that he mentally seems really strong, really focused, really driven. So like you can be motivated in my mind, like temporarily motivated is like a sugar rush in my mind, right? But if you're internally driven, it's very consistent, right? Like your activity level, mentally, physically, your responsibility, accountability is always high. And so I feel like he's a very driven kid. So mentally, I feel really good just listening to him, the way that he responds to the announcers or the reporters, the way that he talks about his job, being team-oriented, etc. I feel really good about. But I do still get concerned about the fact that I feel like all of our wide receivers are kind of the same type. Now, Marquise is, faster and, smaller, but we don't have any other than Boykin, who we know that we have a few folks that are team Boykin, but we don't have any big body. Like our wide receiver core doesn't scare you coming off the bus.
Right. Fair enough.
They're not necessarily imposing. And so that is my only concern, but I would say concern level, I'm at like a 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not super concerned about it.
I'm going to get back to Bateman. But Billy Seals says, do you think Oweh has the predator mind frame to be a pass rusher in the NFL? Reggie did. There's no doubt Reggie did. I think he does. I mean, the way I look at it, when Oweh gets there, he gets there violently. I mean, if you look at his tape from Penn State, when he got home, whether it be the running back or the quarterback, he did so in a violent fashion. So I think he's got the mindset. And I love his sideline to sideline speed, the way he would hold the tackle away from his body and then shed him after he reads, and he would race the running back to the sideline and win that race. I don't think I ever saw him lose the race to the sideline. Most of the times the running back would cut it short and try and cut behind him. But even then, he was able to put the brakes on quickly, reached out those big, long arms of his and grabbed the running back and take him down. So I think he definitely has the mindset that you need to be a passer. I think he was just a victim of a lot of circumstance in Penn State. Now, a lot of it's going to be, wait and see, at this next level. But man, I don't know what it is. I guess I'm just overly confident in the ability of the coaches to develop him. And there's nothing he can't do if he can continue to grow. Like there's nothing physically that he can't physically do at that position. And that's got to be so exciting. When you look at like Pernell McPhee, he has physical limitations. While he also has extreme physical gifts, he's got limitations. this guy's got no limitations. I mean, we don't know his ceiling, but I can see why you'd be concerned. But I definitely don't think it'll be a mindset issue for him.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And like you said, in-season leaps can be real for a guy that's so young as a football player. Season-to-season leaps can be tremendous, even more than the traditional year 1 to year 2 leap that we talk about for a lot of these guys. So certainly room to grow, like you said. And I guess, I mean, his floor is relatively high enough.
Yeah.
Right. To like have a career and be a contributor on a team, even if he doesn't get any better. Just if he can be a supreme edge setter, then he's always at the very least going to have a job and have value in the league. So definitely going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. But where are you? I mean, yeah, it's like you said, I'm not worried about Ben Mason. Obviously, his contributions. I'm not too worried about I'm not too worried about Tylen. I'm not too worried about Rashad.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I say about Rashad, I think that it's exciting to hear. Like when I heard his last recent, I can't remember who was asking him questions, but somebody was asking him what his favorite drill was, and he said he loves the one-on-ones. I love hearing, because what I think is important if you're an NFL athlete is a couple things. A, you got to have extreme, unwavering confidence in yourself, because there's going to be constant articles written, especially if there's any bumps along the road, about how you're going to be constantly criticized when you're in the public eye, and you're especially a position like receiver. So you have to have unwavering confidence. Then you got to have incredible competitiveness. I think that's why, you see players like Steve Smith, who while don't have, that the necessary physical abilities, but they overcome it by just incredible competitiveness.
Like Julian Edelman's another good example of that.
Excellent example. I mean, a guy who's not going to blow you away at his combine, but man, when there's a ball in the air and that he just has the unwavering willingness to just go after it with every part of his being. So I think that you got to have that. And I think from what I've seen from him early on, he's got incredible confidence, and he's got, that willingness to go after the ball and do what it takes to get there. So I'm excited about, the potential that he brings. And I think he's got a chance. He's got a chance. And I think with the correct coaching, which I think we now have in place, I think he's got a real big shot. I'm sorry, DK, what would you put up there? I missed it.
It's a good point. He basically said the Ravens don't make too many mistakes as far as the mindset goes for guys when they're drafting people. And I think that's a great point, because at the end of the day, I was watching a clip from a personal trainer that had trained Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. He said the interviewer asked him, have you worked with guys that are more athletic, can jump higher, better footwork, this, that, and the other, that are more athletically gifted than those guys? He said, oh, plenty. Mm-hmm. And then they never even made it in the league. Yep. But it's all about what's between their ears. Yeah,
and he already has such a great understanding of the game and the position. Yep.
Right. So that, yeah, certainly. And that's what's got me excited about Rashad, man. I mean, I can't wait. I don't know.
Jeffrey, you're out of your mind. The Raiders are not going to beat the. You are outside of your mind.
Yeah, there's no way.
It's going to be. I tell you what, they're going to open that big, beautiful stadium. There's going to be some fans. They're going to be pumped. They're going to be excited in the beginning of the game, but leaving that game, they are not going to be nearly as excited. They're going to be a little upset. Now, there's going to be some Ravens fans in that stadium. They're going to be real happy on the strip after that game. They're going to be partying. They're going to be flying, and they're going to be gambling, because they're going to be having a good time. Because let me tell you something, the Raiders are in for an ass whipping come week 1. I mean, that's what I'm predicting early.
Yeah. I don't think the Raiders stand a chance. McVay and Gruden have done a great job at dismantling that team this offseason and making head-scratching picks.
Not McVay. What's his name?
Or sorry.
I can see his face.
Yeah.
You done got McVay on my head. DK, help us out. The GM for the Raiders. It just popped in and left again. Oh, my
now
goodness.
I can see as the word McVay in my brain. I can't even think of another name. I just see McVay going across the screen.
And yeah, I agree with you, Terrence Hall. There's going to be some more Lamar fans in that stadium. Mayock. Mike Mayock. Gosh, dang it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I agree with you, Terrence. Chucky's the GOAT. I think there's going to be more Lamar fans after that game than started that game, because not only is it on national TV, but I even think some of them new Raider fans might be like, "Are we sure we want to get on board with this Raiders team, or do we want to start following purple?" Because them dudes are special, and they're building something serious out in Baltimore.
Yeah, and then John's track record for week 1 is
undeniable.
Speaks for itself. He's going to have all offseason to prepare for the Raiders.
Yeah,
they're going to get ran on. They're going to get thrown on. Carr's going to make some mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this game is going to get away from them. Like you said, I feel extremely confident. I could pick a score right now. I'm not going to. I'm going to save it.
Okay.
But I could pick a score right now.
Exactly.
But for sure, yeah. Sorry, man. All the beers at Raider Stadium should just say whoop ass, because that's all the Ravens going to be opening up on them, baby. Cans of whoop ass.
That was like old school trash talk. I'm going to open up a can on you, boys.
I just finished watching Parks and Rec, where Leslie Knope puts a can of whoop ass on the pulpit before she gives a talk at a press conference. So, yeah, it came to my mind.
Yeah, I think it will be shades of the Miami game. I 100% agree. So we'll see what happens.
55-9, living legend just said 55-9.
Wouldn't absolutely stun me, to be honest with you. Wow. Because like somebody else said, it's one thing preparing for the Ravens. It's another thing when you see them boys on the field and you got to go tackle some of these guys and you got to feel that offensive line leaning on you for all 4 quarters. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch it and fun to see what happens. I can't wait. That first preseason game, Jimbo, I'm gonna be so hyped to see these young guys, because in years past that's what you look forward to, the preseason games. You don't look forward to seeing, we're not going to see a lot of Lamar. We're not going to see a lot of Mandrews out there. We're not going to see a lot of Marlon, but we're going to see a lot of these young boys. We're going to see a lot of these young guys. I want to see, even some lesser known guys, some guys like Tyler Huntley. How does he look in his first real off season as a Raven, as what some expect to be the primary backup to Lamar Jackson? What can he, here's what I want to see, because a lot of backup quarterbacks, when they're in the game and these young guys, and you're excited to see like a young receiver or a young tight end, they are the backup quarterback's so inept that he can't even give you a proper look at some of those guys. So I'm hopeful that Tyler Huntley and Trace McSorley can give us enough of a look at Rashad Bateman, at Tylan Wallace. Even I think we're still going to see some Devin Duvernay and James Prochet in those games, late in the games, because you can't sit them all. So I just hope we get enough out of the quarterback position that we can get a true good look at these young weapons at the outside, because I think we're going to get a real good look at Ben Cleveland no matter what. We're going to get some good looks at some guys. I think bench press Mason, we're going to see him. But can we see a good amount of tape on Rashad Bateman? Is the quarterback play going to be good enough to support it? That's what I'll be looking for going into preseason. Yeah,
for sure. I can't wait as well. So just really quickly to address the chat, I haven't seen anything on Justin Houston being signed by the Ravens. So if you're going to put that in the chat, link your sources.
Yeah.
Don't troll us here. Because we get excited.
Yeah, don't do that to us.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, exactly. Certainly. But yeah, I mean, it's Huntley's going to be an exciting one. I mean, obviously I can tell you now he's going to be good.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, naturally. But legitimate, objectively, like, he was really good in college, and I feel confident, that he would have been drafted.
He's good in that playoff game outside that.
I know, just missed it. And I feel like if you're playing a whole game and your body's adjusted to the speed and stuff like that, you make that throw with ease. You're just getting used to the game, and it's just one of those ones where you miss an easy layup because you just came off the bench type situation.
Yep.
But the other thing, Glenn, I wanted to shout out. We just got a tweet that said, "Hey, 410 Sports Talk, I'm gonna need Glenn to make those Old Bay cans symmetrical because I guess one is like this.
Oh yeah, one's angled. A little turn. I see.
Somebody's OCD is kind of taking over right now.
Let me help him out.
Yeah. All right.
Is that it? Is that
there
good?
There you go. Yeah, they look good.
Okay. I hope all is. I gotta say, we do love the Old Bay here in Baltimore, because that's not. I got this one too. We got Old Bay everywhere. I'm never running out of crab season. You never have enough crab season. And you know what? I might need to open one of them one day. I mean, I'm trying not to, but when the time comes, sometimes
in case of an emergency, right?
I mean, look, you can put Old Bay on anything. Put that on your popcorn out of the microwave. You'll feel happy. You'll be excited about what you just did. You put that on your eggs. Put that on your scrambled eggs in the morning. You're going to be going off to work in a good mood with a smile on your face. Okay. So I appreciate you shouting out the Old Bay, because that's how we do in Baltimore. That's how we do in Maryland.
That's right.
And yeah, I got to have the ones with the Ravens on here with the limited edition, which I'm sure I only have one of about 1 million of. But yeah, shout out to the Old Bay seasoning.
That's right, man. Always making their presence felt. Right.
Billy Seals says, do we need a big body wide receiver, or does our speed and newfound contested catch ability make up for it?
Now, hold on. We got to change that word real quick. Is it catchability?
Snatchability.
But is there in your mind a difference between snatchability and catchability?
Well, he does say contested catchability. So
that is snatchability in and of
that's
itself.
a long way of saying it. Yeah, that's snatchability. Right. I think that
we've got copyright rights on that word. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, snatchability it was born here in 410 Sports Talk. But no, I think he makes a good point, because it's not really about the body type.
Right, because
the body type is exactly. Now, the body type, if you match the body type with the snatchability, then you got a home run. And that's really what you're looking for. And that's what, someone like a Julio Jones or DeAndre Hopkins brings, is that body type with the snatchability. Now, I agree with him, though. I think that if you had to give me, which one do you want more? I want the snatchability more than the body type, because we've seen plenty of guys come through here with the body type without the willingness or the know-how to go up and snatch that ball at its highest point and take it away from the defender. So I think that he's right in a sense that they found guys that do that. Tylan Wallace and Rashad Bateman both were known for that in college. Even though they're not coming in with that 6'4" frame, that doesn't really matter. And I think the reason it doesn't matter is even in the pros, cornerbacks typically are around 5'11". They're not the big, if you find a 6'2" corner, he's a giant at corner. Yeah. So I think that, they don't have the huge frame, but it's not like they're going up against a guy who's bigger than them. Typically, they're going to be going up. Even Tylan Wallace is going up against a guy the same size as him. So, and I agree with Billy again. He says,
getting all the things in there. There you go, Billy.
Tylan Wallace killed. Yeah, Tylenol giving the defense headaches all around the league. Tylenol Wallace will keep that snatchability.
Another coin phrase here at 410 Sports Talk. Remember, you heard
how
it
did
here
that
first.
not come? How does he not have this nickname to this point?
I don't get it.
So obvious to us. Day one, right. Tylenol.
If that were my name, I'd be like, look, just call me Tylenol, because you're gonna need about 1,000 milligrams after this game. All right, like
that's right.
I would be telling every defender that in every game.
Let him know. Yeah, because so I think he will keep it. Now, there's no doubt that the physicality level is big time, at the cornerback position in the NFL compared to at the college level. But physicality is what he does. I mean, that's what Tylan Wallace really brought to the table, is that physicality as a ball carrier, as going after the ball in the air. I mean, that's just what he was known for his entire collegiate career. So I don't expect that to change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what these guys can do, and I hope that they get the proper opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I tell you what, tonight flew by. I had an absolute blast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show as well. Always feel free to contribute to let us know what you'd like to talk about. If you want voting rights on the show, check out our Patreon. You can join the clan and have voting rights as far as the episodes that we create, guests we have on, ask questions, things like that. But also, like I mentioned, if you want to help support the show, there's a lot of ways you can do it. Subscribe to the channel is always welcome. I've put in the chat a few times the unique link to Newsbreak, our new partner. So go ahead and download that link. And then also you can look us up and follow us as well. So be sure to do that. We appreciate all the support. Both of those things are free. If you want to contribute to the show in other ways and interact with us more, go ahead and check out the Patreon. But we want to shout some of you guys out before we go. We appreciate Rye Joe saying, don't go. Rye, sorry, man. Got to go. We've been on the mic for a while, but we will be back on Thursday. But a lot of shout outs tonight, Glenn.
Yeah, go man in here. He was live in the chat. Q Hut, appreciate you coming out. Adam78, as always, here
Billy
with us.
Seals, as always, too.
Yeah, I don't think those guys ever miss a show, so we are humbled and appreciate that. Brickson 5200. He's always in here, and I still can't get the name right. So I do it. Nana, as always, thank you. Always hyping up the like button. You're one of our diehards. We always appreciate you. Living legend. I think I don't know if you mentioned him. Terrence Hall, always in here. Appreciate you. Donald Fowler, Deep Mahmood. Bradley Winterling. Thank you. Herb Jones was good. Appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, and give your love to DK as well in the chat.
Yeah, thank you, DK.
For helping out with the show as always, keeping us in check. And
if you check out our Julio video, it was DK responsible for those slides. So thanks again for that. We appreciate you, coming on and adding what you have to this show. I'm just trying to see if there's anyone else I'm missing. Oh, King Tay, appreciate you. King of Pugo, I saw you come in. I'm not sure if you're still here, but I appreciate you as always. And all the people who didn't comment and we're silent observers, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Can't wait for this. Can't wait for some real training camp. Look, I saw they're opening up for fans, Jimbo. We got to make our way down there. I made it to the last time with I brought my son out there in 19. It was an absolute blast. The way they treat the fans is second to none. Talking about free ice cream, awesome things for the kids everywhere to participate, catching punts, doing obstacle courses. They got playgrounds.
And I can fit right in with the kids, so I get to do all of it.
Oh, Haskell to Rascal going to be out there catching all the punts.
Stiff-arming kids, man.
You better hope it's not a game of jackpot opening up because he's going to be in there dominating all the 11 and 12-year-olds, just pushing them all.
Just O'Doyle rules all the way, baby.
Yeah, it's an absolute blast. So hopefully we can get out there, and if we can, we will hype it up because we want to see you all out there. Yep. So appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks to you guys, and we'll talk to you all soon.
See you.